Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Ritual Sisters podcast. We are so jazzed to be here today. And we have our guests today, John and David, who are close friends whose connection has grown over the years through language, curiosity, and deaf culture. What started as a simple friendship has become something deeper, a shared journey of learning, understanding, and communication. John, who is deaf, and David, who is hearing, have built a bond that shows what allyship can really look like when it's grounded in respect and genuine connection. Their story reminds us that allyship isn't about getting everything perfect. It's about showing up, seeing different perspectives, and growing together. Welcome, David and John.
Hello. Thank you so much for
Hey.
having me. This is David on Ritual Sisters. I'm so excited to be here, especially with my great friend John. This conversation is one that's really close to my heart because it's about allyship, connection, and communication, and how language shapes the way we understand and show up for each other in everyday life. I've always been super passionate about language and connection. I grew up speaking English, learned Spanish as a second language, and for the past 3 years, I've been focusing on learning American Sign Language and my understanding of deaf culture. It's been a journey that's challenged and inspired me in so many ways. I do want to share right up front that I am hearing and I'm not a native user of ASL. I'm still learning and growing in this space. I know that the most important perspectives in this space belong to deaf people themselves. And that's why I'm so honored to share today's episode with my good friend John. His lived experience and insight are at the heart of this conversation. And I'm so grateful he's here to share this episode with us. You'll also see our ASL interpreter friends, Caitlin and Akila, who will be helping interpret this episode to provide equal access for all. So my hope for today is that we don't just talk about communication or allyship, but that we all really start to embody it by connecting deeply, learning openly, and celebrating the ways language connects us all. So thank you so much again for having us, and I would like to let John make a few opening comments as well.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. My name is John, and I am from Des Moines, Iowa. I was born completely deaf, and my parents didn't actually know I was deaf until I was around 2 years old. And that's when I started learning ASL, American Sign Language, which is my first language. For most of my education, I was mainstreamed with schools, and I did have an ASL interpreter with me every day. In high school, I joined over to the Iowa School for the Deaf, and I was able to have direct communication with my deaf teachers and also with my deaf peers who were able to go through similar experiences and also have a shared language. I'm really looking forward to talking more about communication overall and deaf culture, especially with my very good friend David.
Oh, so fabulous. And, we typically like to start all of our episodes by getting to know our guests. And so we're tweaking these questions a little bit just to honor David and John's connection. So our first question is, tell us a bit about how you came into each other's lives.
Sure, I could start. We actually met 4.5 years ago in 2021. We're put on the same volleyball team in a sand volleyball league, and John, I was like a free agent, so I didn't know anyone else on the team, and John ended up being on the same team as me. We quickly realized we were way better skilled than a lot of the other people on our team, but that's besides the point. We were moved up to the competitive level, but it was fun. But yeah, he showed up with a ASL interpreter, and um, it was, I want to say, in I was uninitiated to deaf culture. Um, I had never, to my knowledge, interacted with a deaf person before. and it was just a special moment to be able to communicate with him via the interpreter. And it really just sparked my curiosity, and I just really loved the connection we had from the get-go, despite our first language differences. It was just really cool, and we quickly became friends. So yeah, John, do you have anything to add to how we came into each other's lives?
Oh, for sure. And I do also want to add that in 2020, I was living in Washington, D.C. for about 8 years at that time. And then I decided it was time to move back to Des Moines, Iowa. And I needed that friendship. I didn't really have any adult friends that were in my area because I went to high school in a different area in Iowa, and so that was 2 hours away from Des Moines. And I really needed friends in my direct area, so I decided to sign up, and I was definitely a little nervous, of course. And I thought I would probably be the only deaf person there. And that tends to be pretty typical. That's pretty typical for my everyday life. But as soon as I met David, it was just easy. It was easy to just have a conversation with him, especially the first day of the game. It was really, really nice.
Oh, it's beautiful to hear from both sides. I love that. So we also ask everyone about what season of life you're in. So we wanted to ask you, what season of friendship are you in right now?
I think the season of friendship we're in is changes, growth, appreciation. Really, it started as, you know, a spark in my our friendship started, and later I'm going to talk more about this later, but I started learning ASL at a later time. And then the season we're in now, I would just say, is like, we've been apart the past year. I actually started working in the area where John went to school when he was in Council Bluffs there in Western Iowa, and I've been there the past year, starting an interpreting program, learning more ASL, learning more about deaf culture, getting more into the community. But as John just stated, he did all that 2 hours away from Des Moines, and I have been doing that the past year, 2 hours away from Des Moines. So I think the season is just, appreciation from a distance and growth from a distance. But when I do come back to Des Moines, and there are plans to soon fully come back to Des Moines, it's just like really about connecting and appreciating each other due to the distance we've been apart the past year, but also knowing that it's a temporary thing, and our friendship will evolve and change, whether I'm here or there. We're back in the same city, but it's just been beautiful to know that he's supportive of what I'm doing and where I've been the past year, and even from a distance, and it's just been great. So yeah.
For me, I feel like right now it's getting on a deeper level. And the reason being for that is because I'm noticing I'm noticing more about David's personality, and I just really love and truly care about his confidence. He's very confident in his confidence with being proactive and trying to be more involved with my everyday life. An example being that David's actually going to deaf social events and has been doing it often. And I don't see that often from a hearing counterpart. So it's really, really cool to see him truly showing up and often showing up. And I really deeply care about David's motivation and his motivation to continue his education into deaf culture and language acquisition.
Absolutely. Thank you. No, that means that means a lot. And I think I think the topic you were going to move on to was like how has the friendship shifted over time, and I just want to like jump right into that because when I started this friendship, it was really centered on, you know, we kind of became friends. I didn't know any ASL, so we kind of became friends with using English, and it was kind of really centered on the mainstream hearing world. And then when I realized over time, I really loved this person and liked this friendship and really wanted to cultivate the friendship, and I knew I needed to dig deeper to make that happen and make a better connection with this person who was starting to mean so much to me. So like we stated, we met back in the spring of 2021. I decided to start learning ASL in August 2022. So it was a good chunk of time between meeting John to actually taking the leap to start learning, but it was because I just wanted to continue to foster that friendship, and I knew that I needed to connect with him more deeply and learn about his way of life. And it not only became, to John's point, it not only became about wanting to learn more to connect with him and his deaf friends, but it became all of deaf culture, and to the point of moving to Council Bluffs to participate in that deaf community and all of that. So it's just been a joy and so fun to learn ASL, and I'm still learning. It's such a process. It's my third language, and I struggle a lot and I make mistakes, but I try to stay confident. And it's just been so very meaningful and transformative and a beautiful change in my life to the point where it's affected my whole life. And John was like the seed and like the spark in the plant of that. So it's just been so beautiful. Yeah, I can't think of enough, but yeah. Um, so is there anything you'd like to say about how it's shifted over time, John? Because it has changed so much, and I cannot believe it's like coming up on 5 years and stuff. It's just crazy. So
Wow. Yeah, for sure. I mean, time goes by so quickly. And I do also want to mention that a big shift I felt like was recently. A few weeks ago, it was my high school homecoming weekend. Just a few weeks ago, I thought, okay, let's go ahead and see my old high school mates. And I was able to see David there, who's coaching the volleyball team. And I felt like that was the shift. That was the most recent shift because David was able to see my old high school, my old teachers that are still there, and some of my classmates who are also working at that high school now. And so I felt like David is really stepping into my world and seeing where my growing up, my language, my everything came from, and navigating my high school in his eyes and also my eyes too. So I feel like that's really where a big shift just happened recently.
yeah, definitely. I feel like there's been, I don't want to say small shifts. There's definitely been small shifts and big shifts. Like the leap to start learning ASL was like a huge shift, and then continuing with that, and then just it's been so beautiful because having learned more about your world has opened my world and my mind to a place where I never thought before could be possible. So it's just been so beautiful. And not to like make a Disney quote, but
We welcome
there's
it.
like there's this song from I want to say it's like Pocahontas, and it's like you'll learn things from strangers you never knew, meaning like when you like accept a stranger into your life, you like never know what you can learn from them because you never even thought about it. Like I never even thought in my whole life, in my 30 years of life, to start learning ASL until I met John. And it has transformed my life in the most transformative, beautiful way possible. So just being open to that connection with someone that comes from a different walk of life from you is incredible. So
I think that's really going to be very impactful for people to hear about, because how often do we, whether consciously or subconsciously, notice a difference between ourselves and someone else and then just immediately block off, like, I'll never
Mhm.
be able to develop this connection. And it's like 5 years, that's a long time, but it's also a short amount of time too that you can really grow into this relationship if you put in that effort. So thank you for being here and sharing this. I love this.
Oh, I'm so inspired.
Thank you. Yes. It's so like beautiful to reflect about because we just get so busy with our lives, and John and I are both so busy in our careers and our work and my now trying to become an interpreter and all that. It's just been we can't thank you enough for having us today and just like reflecting on this because it's such an important thing, and I think a lot of people will resonate with it. So
Absolutely. And, being the Ritual Sisters podcast, Michelle and I were curious whether it's small or big rituals, what helps you both nurture your friendship?
That's a great and also beautiful question.
Oh,
And I could go on and on about it, but I want to think about something that is super specific. David, did you want to go first?
yeah, yeah, I have some thoughts about that. One thing that I really appreciate about our friendship is like when I'm home, when we're both in Des Moines, I know I can just like randomly text John and be like, oh, like a little ritual we have is like, oh, do you want to go to lunch? Do you want to go out tonight? Do you want to
oh.
have a sleepover? Do you want to do this or do that? It's just like so spontaneous, and that is like really important to me, that I have someone in my life close by who I can out of the blue just call up or text and try to make some kind of plan and to hang out and meet up, because it's not often that there are people, at least in my life, who I can just do that with and not have to make a plan days in advance or weeks in advance because we're
David, that
all
is
adults
so
busy.
true. I
Yeah.
love
So
that you're bringing up spontaneity. Like, I think you're
yes.
right. It's as we're getting older, it's getting more rare, which makes me so sad. Thank you for saying this. Like, yes.
The spontaneity is like joy in my life for me. John knows how spontaneous I am, and I don't know if he like loves it or not, but he goes along with it.
I love it. Keep doing it, David. Keep at it.
Also, another thing that I would describe as like a tradition in our friendship is when me and my husband like travel somewhere, whether it's like for an event or for visiting somewhere that we think is a interesting place to go or whatever, we always book hotel rooms with two beds in case John wants to come join
Oh,
us.
yes.
So it's just like really funny and like cool because John will like either like be like join the day before or like commit like months in advance, and it's just so funny. I love it's such like a fun thing to experience life outside of Iowa with him and all the travels we've done together as well, whether it's just with John or with John and my husband. It's just been really cool to have those experiences as well. And then I think the last thing I would say that is kind of like a ritual in our friendship is when we just want to like relax and chill and do nothing, we will like go to his family's lake house in northern Iowa and just hang out there and do nothing and just enjoy the peace of nothing but still, together. And the the thing for me is like not only the spontaneity of the friendship but also the relaxed feeling where you don't feel like you have to be on all the time, like, you know what I mean, that
Yeah.
that kind of thing. It's just really cool. So I don't know if those are like specifically rituals, but those are things that I've noticed that like are like traditions within our friendship. So, John, what did you? I don't know if you have anything to add. You probably think the spontaneity thing is so true.
I mean, I feel like you pretty much said all of it, really. But one thing I do want to add is that I do notice during the summer times now, we'll go to Pride, the Pride Festival, or Pride related events. Before that weekend starts, we'll typically maybe go get our nails done, or maybe we'll go and get the hydration IV so that we're making sure we're ready and healthy for the
Smart.
weekend coming up. Yeah. And last ritual I wanted to add, I'm not sure if it applies to this question specifically, but my whole life, my ultimate goal is always just to build a bridge between hearing and the deaf world, right? Building that connection. So I feel like I have that with David, right? I'm bringing David into my deaf world, and he's joining me with my deaf friends, and he's joining me with different deaf social events as well. And at the same time, I feel like I get to join David's world with him, with his friend group and his events. You know, his hearing friends get together, and I'll go with them and hang out. And he always brings deaf culture and awareness to his side too. So it's just nice to have that connection and building that bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so beautiful, I think, to have to step into each other's worlds in different ways. You know, it does go both ways. Like John has hung out with my family, with my friends, with the and you know, with the English I grew up with and things like that. And it's just so cool to have John there because, like I said, before I met John, I knew no ASL. I knew nothing about deaf culture, and now that John is like stepping into that with me, I feel like have been together, and he's been the huge great example of, you know, of bridging those worlds together, the deaf culture world with hearing folks who may know little ASL or no ASL or nothing about deaf culture. It's just been so cool to experience with him.
Yeah. So, kind of along those lines,
Mhm.
John, what do you wish that hearing people knew about deaf culture?
Oh, so many things. One thing that I really wish is that, how do I say this? For example, oftentimes hearing people will come up to me and say, "Hey, I wish I learned ASL." Uh, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's stopping you? There's so many wonderful resources online, on social media, at school. And a lot of the materials are taught by deaf individuals themselves. So please take advantage of those opportunities. Don't just wish and wait and do nothing about it.
That's a really good one. There is usually a gap between what we want and what we're doing to actually get there. So that's a good reminder that
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Yeah, and if I could just add to John's comment about that, it's just like it's like in my mind one of the most disrespectful things hearing people do is continue to connect with a deaf person and say, "I want to learn ASL. I want to learn ASL," and they'll like they'll not only say it once, but they'll say it multiple times. And when you show that you're not doing anything to actually attempt to do that, I think that is so disheartening for the deaf community and really just not respectful at all. But yeah, I think it's just just little things like that where that I've learned from John, like, um because now when I hear people say, oh, they look at me and they see me sign with John, and John's gonna laugh at this, but they'll see me sign and they'll be like, oh, David, you're so good at ASL, you're so like great and fluent. And I'm like, no, first of all, no, I'm not. Second of all, I'm still learning and improving in this space, thank you. And then they'll say things like, oh, I wish I knew that, I wish I could talk to your friend, I wish I could communicate with him in ASL, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. And to John's point, I've started learning from him first to say things like, you just have to go for it and do it. And like, it is worse to say, I want to do this, I want to do this, and continually to say something like that and not take action, because that is, I think, so disrespectful to the deaf community and anyone who has a meaningful deaf person in their lives. That's just me. Don, do you have anything more to add to that?
No, not really. I mean, you pretty much said it all. Other thing too, oftentimes hearing people will get kind of nervous to come up to me. I think that they think that there are not other ways to communicate, but there's so many different ways, right? Come up to me and you can text on your phone and show me, or you can learn ASL, or, we can figure it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So important what you both are sharing. So important.
Is there anything, John, that...
Yeah, and I do want to add one more thing too.
Mm-hmm. Please.
Another thing is, I wish that people would know that deaf is an identity, right? It's not just a disability. We have a huge community and culture, and how can I put this? I'm thinking of how to phrase this. There is a spectrum of people who identify as being deaf, right? People who identify as being extremely deaf or hard of hearing, and there's language that is on that spectrum as well. People who use ASL only, or people who use what's called English, a more English form of ASL. Or we do have some deaf people or hard of hearing individuals who don't sign at all and prefer to speak, right? Again, on that spectrum, there's a variety and a diverse group of people.
Yeah, I think it is something that a lot of hearing people are just not aware of at all. And I wasn't aware of that until probably, fairly recently. So I think that's really helpful for people to know that, deaf is a community and culture. Are there things that you really love about the deaf community and culture? I mean, I'm sure there are. I shouldn't phrase it like that. What do you love about the deaf community and culture, John?
I love that we are our own world, honestly. We have so many cultural signs that, relate back to the deaf world. We have a small community that is really tight-knit, right? The deaf community is getting smaller and smaller as time goes on.
Yeah, and it truly is like its own culture. And I had an amazing opportunity in my first couple years learning ASL. I actually went to visit for 2 weeks to Gallaudet University, where John went to college, and it was like studying abroad, but I was still inside my own country. It was just amazing, and it was terrifying because I was an ASL3 and I felt like I was just really awkward with my signing. But we can't grow in any way, shape, or form and improve our lives if we don't start getting uncomfortable. So that is my like thing that keeps me confident, because I have tried and I continue to try every day to be comfortable in uncomfortability, if that's a word. So yeah, just become comfortable with not being comfortable. And that is what this whole journey of learning ASL and deaf culture is, because I I started learning and I struggled a lot, and I still struggle, and it's my third language, and I've only been learning 3 years, and they say really to get a good hold of a language takes like 8 to 9 years. So I just know that like I just want to continue, and I'm so thankful that John sees that confidence in me, because that's really special to know and have in my life. So
Yeah. And being honest, I don't have many friends like you, David. I don't have, I mean, growing up, I've always had female friends, right? Uh, Mostly in the interpreting profession, there's a lot of women, right? So it's easy to make friends with a lot of women who learn ASL. I've noticed that women are more willing to learn new languages. I'm not sure why that is, but David is my good male friend that I never had growing up.
definitely, yeah. It's definitely, now that I've dived more into not only learning ASL and learning more about deaf culture, but now scratching the surface of the interpreting profession. It is very it's so true. A lot of my colleagues in the field and a lot of the students I communicate with are it's really a women led profession, which is wonderful. But at the same time, there's deaf men all over the nation that need those, those folks, those men that are willing to learn ASL as well. So it's just awesome to hear that as well. So yeah.
Yes, and I will say it. I mean, it really exceeds my expectations in dates as well. Because whoever I date, now there's no excuse.
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Great point.
Thank you to David for that. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry for raising the bar so high, but no, I'm just kidding.
Keep raising it.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, it's so true. Oh yeah, go
But
ahead.
honestly, that makes me realize that that's how it should be, When I'm dating
Mhm.
another person, I mean, that's how it should be. You got to learn ASL, period. There's no excuse.
Definitely, so true. Yeah.
So thank you for making me realize that, David.
You're welcome. And I think my thing is like, whenever whenever someone new comes into your life that means something to you, that you want to develop a connection with, and they're different from you, if they grew up with a different language or they grew up with a different identity or in a different country, like you cannot connect on any kind of deep level if you do not make an effort to learn about them and their experiences.
Wow, I love how you just said that.
So we were also wondering about like what does communication mean to both of you and what does good communication look like in everyday life?
Yeah, I can start. I think communication to me really, in its simplest form, means a mutual understanding of each other, which helps foster deeper connection and, peace between people. We use language to connect, collaborate, and show care for one another. Um, in everyday life, to me, communication is all about connection, the countless ways we really express and understand each other beyond just words, whether it's using English or Spanish or ASL or any language, whether we are speaking or using our hands to communicate or using our eyes to communicate and take in information or using our ears or using touch. Like it's all just so important to recognize that. I think a lot of people need to understand that communication is not just about words coming out of a mouth and hearing it with your ears. Like there are so many different ways that humans communicate and have for years and years. And I that's just, I don't know, that's whether it's just a bridge between people, and whether that's through sound, sight, or touch, it's all communication. Yeah, so I think that's what communication means to me. And good communication obviously looks like, making those deeper connections with people. And if they communicate in a way that's different from you, learn about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it makes me even think about what you were saying before about hearing people saying, I wish I was learning sign language. That it's like, what is the message beneath that is like, I'm not actually going to put in the effort to do this. And people can get so focused on like, my words are saying this, so you should believe this. But there's so much more beneath that we also have to be paying attention to.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to doing what you say you're going to do and meaning it, and not just talking the talk and walking the walk. That can be applied to any aspect of life, but it's especially true when you are saying something like that to a group of people who, historically miss out on a lot of communication just for the fact of the way they've come into this world.
Michelle and I were also wondering.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
I mean, pretty much everything that David said was spot on. And I think it's important for me as a deaf person, communication is physical. I want to be able to have that physical touch, and that's a huge piece of communication for me.
Yeah, and maybe to share more about that, Michelle and I were wondering how communication, from y'all's perspective, strengthens connection.
Yeah, I could think of an example. John, of like a specific story where communication really strengthened our connection. I remember we were in Chicago, John, and we were somewhere, and I stepped outside, and we started using ASL and communicating through the window. And it was just really cool because we were able to talk through the window, and that's an aspect of deaf culture, and it was so cool to share that with you. And because it was seemingly like we were the only people that could do that at that time, seemingly, and because hearing people can't very well communicate through a window oftentimes. So just having that like moment of shared connection and experience that goes back to ties in deaf culture, where windows are really symbols of connection and growth, and doors are symbols of some of oppression in the deaf community. It just was really cool to know that because of what John inspired me to start doing, learn ASL, I now can share not only in his language but in the beautiful culture that he has with his deaf world. So that was a really special moment, and we have moments like that occasionally with the window thing. But yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, I love that.
I also definitely need to add that, not just be able to communicate through the windows, but also a bar or an area that is so ridiculously loud. We don't have to struggle to communicate because we're using our hands to sign, and it's super easy to be able to understand each other.
Yeah, it's like so fun because we could be like across the room like 25 feet away from each other and still able to communicate, and it's just like so cool. And yeah, like I remember we were in Chicago at a bar. I think it was a different trip, but you were signing and I was still learning ASL and you were signing, "I'm so happy we can communicate without speaking." And I was still in the process of learning ASL, so I was like, "What are you signing to me?" And I eventually got it, but it was like, yes, like that's the goal. That's like why we're doing this. It was just so cool to share those moments of connection and culture. So yeah, I think there's definitely been different aspects that have really strengthened our connection through communication avenues.
Well, we also want to talk about allyship as well. Can both of you speak to what allyship looks like to you? What does that mean to you?
Just show up and make that effort. Show up at deaf social events and support the deaf community. That is allyship for me.
Yeah, definitely. And just to add to that, I think it means not speaking for that person or group of people, but standing with them, creating access, visibility, fostering respect while continually learning and adjusting your actions based on new experiences. Like John and other deaf folks have taught me so much about how to navigate the my learning of ASL and my navigation of entering the interpreting profession and my navigation of interacting with the deaf community and just being open to taking in that information and really like learning from it and adjusting the way you behave because you're not only you're not only standing alongside that individual or that group of people, but you have to be willing to learn from them and adjust your actions accordingly to be more respectful and more inclusive. Yeah.
Mhm.
I do want to also add a couple of things. I mean, David's allyship and how he hosts it and how he showcases it is hosting trivia night for deaf culture at bars. And so it's really cool that David is bringing that cultural awareness to a bar where people are able to learn firsthand. And I really appreciate that showcasing of allyship. David also hosts movie night at the bar as well. And the movie was, what was that movie again, David?
Deaf president now.
Yes, the DPN, the Deaf President Now. And he was able to actually fundraise money for the Des Moines Association for the Deaf. And that was huge. And that's a huge showcase of what allyship looks like.
It's beautiful.
I love, John, that you're sharing all of this. And David, when did you start this? I think that's a really beautiful example.
Yeah, so when I was a couple years ago, I think I started those nights at the breweries, John, where I
The
would just
trivia.
yeah, like
Okay.
bring the ASL social like trivia thing to the bars and helping with that, and it was really cool because I was still in like I would say my like infancy of learning ASL, but you don't have to be perfect to start supporting the community. Like they have been the deaf community has been so wonderful to me and just like uplifting and have there been times where I've struggled with communication or not understood something or completely messed up a sign or something or yes, but they're so what's beautiful about the deaf community is they're so like supportive of your learning and they want to foster that environment. So I'm so happy to help set up and provide spaces that support the community because they've given so much to me and I want to I obviously want to give back and have that mutual support. So
I know we're touching on this. I do want to ask this question, though, in case it pings something for either of you. So the question is, are there specific actions, habits, or practices that you think are important for someone who wants to be an ally in the deaf community?
Oh, so many ways. Let me think of a specific example. I would say just learn basic sign and showing a deaf person what you've learned.
yeah, definitely. I think when like Kelly, Michelle, when you started this podcast, I wanted to be a part of it. And I knew, I think a specific action, at least that I took, was bringing John into this conversation, bringing this John into this podcast, because I don't want to sit here and talk about my experiences with the deaf community without having my deaf friend here, because he's the root of the experience, and he's the reason I'm even talking about this, and he's the reason I'm even doing all of this with my life. So how can I not include him in the conversation? Like, and a lot of times I feel sometimes we folks don't always support the deaf community in those ways. They maybe learn some ASL and they go and they do something with it that doesn't include a deaf person or not a deaf person's perspective. So I think just centering deaf voices, especially in spaces that are meant for them, amplifying deaf folks and respecting their valuable contributions to the world. Let deaf people lead in conversations about their culture, access, and rights, I think is huge. Like John said, learn ASL, use it respectfully. Not only learn ASL, but learn a lot of ASL and also learn about deaf culture and learn from deaf educators. Like, learn from teachers who are deaf, who are native users of deaf culture and native users of American Sign Language. They know it best. So that's what I would say is how you can, specific things you can do. Support captioning, interpreters, visual communication access in all environments, like workplaces, events, classrooms, doing even simple things that people just don't think of when they post an Instagram video or a Facebook video and they have audio. They don't add a transcript, they don't add captions, they don't sometimes don't do any of that. So just caption your social media, like, so deaf people can access the content. And I cannot thank John and Akila and Caitlin enough for being here and helping with this conversation, because we are truly like resonating access for folks here with the voicing and signing and the interpretation. And John, and I think it's just so amazing that the six of us has come together, because it's truly like a beautiful example. And yeah, I don't know. It's just so wonderful. Like, I love this right now.
Oh.
I need to add to that too. And honestly, it's not that difficult. People think it's incredibly difficult, to get into this group, but it's actually easier than what you may think it is.
I think that is helpful for people to hear that the deaf community is very welcoming and wanting people to learn. I think that takes away maybe a little bit of the fear, but I think also kind of what you were saying before, David, that it's okay to be uncomfortable and like it's okay to make mistakes, and for even somebody to be upset with you if you make a mistake. Like, that's just all part of life, and I don't think I think in an ideal world, we could be okay with making mistakes and being uncomfortable and looking stupid sometimes.
Oh, I totally agree, Michelle. Like, I feel there's so much encouragement. And John, I think you mentioned, yeah, just show up. Like, that really stood out to me.
Yeah, and just like touching on uncomfortable, or I keep saying uncomfortability, just touching again on being uncomfortable. With the world is centered around, hearing people, hearing privilege, and deaf folks, get uncomfortable every day entering the hearing world because they have to. And if we can do a little bit to take that, make them feel more comfortable by becoming comfortable with our uncomfortableness, that really helps, I think. So, and it's just it goes back to being a respectful human and interacting with those who are different from you.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it before, but I was an exchange student in France, and French people are notorious for not being nice if you don't speak well. And I survived that, so we all can get out there and survive as being nice people that are like kind if you make a mistake.
Oh, I'm so inspired just by this friendship. Like the arc of the friendship, how it continues to evolve. And John and David, I just want to give you a chance as we're, heading to the end of our time. Just if there's anything you're called to say to share with each other. Yeah, really anything. I'm just so inspired by both of you.
Yeah, I think for me, just taking like going back to even John's comment about folks that say, I want to learn ASL, I want to learn ASL. I had that in my mind for a bit of time ever since I met him. And it took me some time to get there and sign up for that first class and like pay for it and pull the trigger on starting to learn ASL. And that was like a huge decision in the trajectory of my life, even though it seems like a simple decision. You're just starting to learn something new. But the way it can build and snowball into something that becomes so important to your life is just amazing. So I first started learning it for fun, and I was like, oh, I'm just learning for fun. I want to have a better connection with John. I want to have a better connection with his friends. And it really, despite me like kind of pushing back, because I had a career in business, I had my background, I had things going for me in the business world, and it just blew up into, I love it so much. Like John has inspired me so much. I love the culture he's in. I love this language. I love learning it. I want to do it the rest of my life. And it's just so special to me that it all started because I met someone on my volleyball team and decided to start learning more about them. And yeah, I don't know. I just want to say that it's changed my life for the better in so many ways. Like it's completely transformed everything. And Kelly, Michelle, I think when I was in Colorado this summer, I started speaking about this, and I was just like John, I was in Colorado for the Aspen camp for the deaf and hard of hearing, and then I went to visit Kelly and Michelle in Fort Collins, and I was just explaining how when I wake up every day and get to go work in the deaf community and get to go learn in the deaf community, it brings me so much joy and it brings me so much purpose that I didn't really have before I met you. So that is what I want to say. Just thank you for being an inspiration, not only to me, but to so many people that you come in contact with.
Love you.
Oh.
Love you too.
Maybe for me, I would just say I've been loving to see John grow and evolve into my world. I love seeing your confidence. I love seeing that you're comfortable being able to hang out and travel with my deaf friends without me, right? I heard that you went to my friend's house a few weeks ago without me. And honestly, I think that's amazing. Honestly, I do. I just I just love to see how David can grow from day one when I met him at volleyball. He knew absolutely nothing to the point where he's becoming, nervous about his receptive skills and being able to understand the language. Now his receptive skills have improved so much. So I just really have love to see the evolution.
So beautiful. And
Yes, thank
you guys,
you. Yeah, go ahead,
if you
Michelle.
need help writing your book together, let me know because this
I
would be
was going to
really
say, this needs to be a book. This friendship. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Any last remarks before we close out for today?
Um, I'll say some last final things, and I'll give John a chance to really, wrap up the conversation. But I guess, and or no, Kelly, Michelle, I know you have some closing thoughts too. But I just want to say, I want to reiterate John's point that the deaf community needs to be recognized as a cultural identity rooted in shared experience, a visual language, and the pride that they have in that world. I just want to reiterate that fact that John stated, and just understanding that deaf people are very proud of this, and we have to continue to foster that kind of environment for the community. And I think John and I's friendship is a really good example, like John said, of bridging the deaf community with the hearing community, and it's just really beautiful. And I'm so proud of what John does every day and is going to continue to do with connecting, making those human connections, because that's really what matters.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Oh, John, do you have another thought?
Yes. I do want to add, don't be afraid to learn about deaf culture. There's so many cool, fun resources, even on TikTok, on Instagram. There's so many cool deaf influencers. They're starting to come up more and more now. And I want to see that being exposed more. So,
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you both for coming on today. This has been such an incredible conversation. I'm so excited for people to get to take this all in. And yeah, I think, David, what you were saying earlier about the walls and windows, that walls are barriers in deaf culture and windows are
Doors,
doors are barriers, windows are openings.
yeah, like symbols of connection, and
Symbols of connection. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I think that's a good image for people to take home and to reflect on, ways that we can create more windows in our lives and ways that we can deepen our communication with other people. I think those are great things to reflect on. And yeah, we'll get some resources from you guys that we can link in the show notes so that people that want to learn more about deaf culture and people that hear this and are like, okay, I actually need to start learning.
They'll take the step. Yes.
Yeah. Any other rituals that you would take away from it, Kelly?
Again, I'm so excited and I'm so glad, John, you mentioned the influencers, like even just because, right, we're all scrolling, like just to be able to see that in my feed. I mean, I'm probably after this going to message you and ask for who to follow, because it's those things, it's the visibility that you both are bringing up where I want to ritualize, like making sure I'm, stepping into that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just
Thank you.
I think just a final thought I have personally is like, if you've ever said to yourself or to someone, I wish I learned ASL, I wish I knew ASL, I wish I could learn ASL, like, that's fine. That's okay. Just action that and do it and take the step, because it really can change your life. I am a perfect example of that. So, and John is a perfect example of that kind of inspiration. So, yeah, this conversation has meant a lot, and thank you so much to everyone who helped make it possible today, because it's really been beautiful. So, yeah.
Oh, it really has.
And maybe a good reflection question for people that are, whether it's ASL or whatever other, language that people are interested in, or whatever it is, it's like, is there some discomfort that I'm avoiding by not engaging in this? That might be a good question to think about.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, and I think this conversation could go on forever. But I think, like, if anyone has like something they've been my whole thing, what I try to do in my life, and what's really helped me be confident and successful, I think, is when I consider starting something or thinking about a goal, you just have to go for it. Because Kelly, Michelle, I was watching one of your episodes earlier today, and it was like, are we ever going to be ready for the podcast? When are we going to start it? And you guys both of you just started the podcast, and you're doing it, and you're doing it so well, and you're doing it successfully. And that's just another example of getting uncomfortable and going for it and trying to do something and learn something. And because, yeah, it all really, for me, at least for me, goes back to just taking the leap into something that is uncertain. And yeah, because it can it could fail, but at least you tried. And oftentimes it works out if you just keep going.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Love it. Well, thank you all. Thanks, Ritual
so
Fam,
honored.
for joining us. Yeah, this is so exciting. And wherever you're at, we hope you're having a magical time.
Yes. All right.
Bye.
Talk soon.